I want to read something I read earlier that I audibly scoffed at when I read. As I put in our group chat, the tweet from Jeff Keighley revealing that Palworld has sold 12 million copies and has 7 million players in Xbox. This is a quote from Owen. Quote, "The game seems so mediocre, though. That's what I find so weird." End quote. That is the sound of someone judging pigs rolling in their shit yet again.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm here to say that fun is better than being a snob. Owen, you're not better than anyone for not liking Palworld. It's so mediocre.
No.
Blah 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 blah.
I just think it seems mediocre because it's just another survival game. That's all it seems like, anyway.
Would you say it's just another survival game, Mark?
It's another survival game with some flavor to it, with some charm to it. It's like if Survival Evolved met Pokemon Arceus. Really, it's like, okay, because I mean, Arc is similar where you are like catching these dinos, you're raising them. You're not just like raiding each other with your weapons and everything, but you've got these companion beasts also that you're using to fight everybody. Some fly, some do not fly. But in this time around, you gotta actually like fight them with your bare hands or with weapons and try to catch them, try to weaken them. A little like very reminiscent of Arceus. Catching a lot of them. You're building a lot. You're building with them too. It's a lot more of like this collaborative experience, and that's maybe putting it nicely because the farther you get into the game, the more you are just kind of really putting the work on these guys, these little guys. You can literally just make them an assembly line and force them to stand at it all day. And that's just what they do from that point on. You can make them like hot tubs and a nice little house too, but like at the end of the day, it is eat, work, sleep for these guys, unless you want to put them in the box. And on top of that, there's no way to release pals in this game other than you have to make an item called the metal cleaver, which will then turn the pet interaction into a butcher interaction, and that's how you get rid of them if you don't want them anymore.
It's brutal.
And the animation is censored and everything. It just puts a big blur over the pal as you just kind of like smash this cleaver into them and makes gory noises.
I will say,
the ground.
I've heard things that sound fun in this game, and stuff like that. That is admittedly pretty funny. But again, I just fall back on I feel like we've seen other games do most of this stuff minus the Pokemon part.
But you can't just say minus the Pokemon part because that's the entire thing. That's the appeal.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was about to say. I guess that is a big enough part of it, but it almost seems like it's a completely secondary thing to the game in some ways. But maybe my assessment's wrong.
Yeah, the entire game revolves around the pals.
Oh yeah, I mean the best way to level up is by catching more and more of these guys and putting them to work. So you're actually leveling up, getting new recipes because you're leveling up. I will say it's a very grindy game right now. Like I think the early game is very fun when you're getting like kind of the progress. You're kind of exploring, seeing more of the guys. But I think once things start kind of slowing down, things start getting a lot less fun. And I think I have multiple worlds with different friends because unfortunately I bought the game on Steam not knowing it was on Game Pass. And right now Game Pass and Steam and Xbox too, Xbox and PC Game Pass are a different build than the Steam version. So they don't have crossplay. All my friends are playing on PC Game Pass. I was like, oh my God, now I got to start over there. And then they stopped playing over there. So we went over to Steam. I went over to Steam. And most of my time is just starting different worlds. A total of like 3 different save files. And the third one was just like, okay, I feel like this is starting to get a little too easy. I'm making a hard save file where if I die, not just do I drop all my stuff, but I drop all of my pals if I die. And I have limited respawn points.
God, that's not fun at all.
It just makes things more risky, Every decision you make counts out there. And I will tell you, I do regret it. It is not very fun.
Yeah, I think once you reach that point, you got to go back to the Yakuza games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly what's happened. And I haven't gone back since. That was like early Yakuza 4 when I was going through this Palworld phase. And then was like, okay, I've had my fun here. I don't think I need to go much further. Maybe when PvP becomes a thing, and I could do some fun stuff there, where maybe if I'm going to lose it all, I'm going to lose it all in a raid, not because I walked into the wrong neighborhood and got shot by an arrow from a pal that is not a certain Pokemon that I know, but looks very much like a Pokemon I know.
I just mentioned that Palworld, we've talked about it before on the podcast about like what all these studios, one of which we will technically talk about later, who are so desperately trying to make the next big thing, the next Fortnite, the next Apex, shit like that. It's never from those who are actively trying to become it.
I mean,
They just happen. And I'm not saying Palworld's going to have the
yeah.
longevity of fucking Fortnite by any stretch of the imagination, but this game is a phenomenon. And it is showing no signs of slowing down. And it's crazy. We're starting the year with a brand new IP from basically a brand new developer who we've never really talked about or seen from before. And it's just, they had no intention of being this big. There was no big marketing cycle. This game didn't have tens of, with how PlayStation's doing hundreds of millions of dollars of developer and investments into it. They just put it out. They've been quietly working on it, and it's a massive success. And that's how massive successes happen.
It's certainly like a viral phenomenon. It's like trying to study how this game is doing well is like trying to study how like a viral video pops off. It's like, well, let's make another viral video. It's like, well, you don't just make another one. It's just you get lucky, and that's how these service games have kind of been. But it's so popular. I don't know if it's going to like become this big IP. I think it's going to go the way of like Five Nights at Freddy's, where like this is going to keep going on. We'll be like, oh yeah, people are still playing Palworld. It's got its own fan base. People like there's a large amount of people who really care about this thing. But
and earlier, IGN put out an article that said like Xbox is now getting like actively involved in the development and assisting the team so that they can put out updates sooner and that they have more money and resources. So, and if that happens, and this game is continually able to frequently update itself and fix all of its issues, then holy shit.